nyamuk Aedes aegypti berwolbachia. Ada 4 fase penelitian yang dilakukan, mulai dari studi keamanan Wolbachia, pelepasan nyamuk secara terbatas, pelepasan nyamuk di skala besar, hingga riset implementasi di 2 kabupaten. Yang terbukti menurunkan 77% kasus dengue di wilayah intervensi penelitian. Ini adalah momen peletakan telur nyamuk berwolbachia di Kabupaten Sleman, Kabupaten Bantul, dan Kota Yogyakarta. Tonggak sejarah yang akan menjadikan lingkungan bebas dari dengue tanpa mengubah ekosistem. Lalu, apa kata warga yang sudah merasakan dampak dari nyamuk berwolbachia? Penelitian nyamuk berwolbachia juga telah dipublikasikan dalam sejumlah jurnal dan buku. Dukungan terhadap perjalanan pembuktian nyamuk baik datang dari pemangku kebijakan hingga warga. Tidak sebatas dukungan, hadir juga keterlibatan dari pihak lain. Penelitian 12 tahun dapat berlangsung berkat kolaborasi yang sinergis dari lintas sektor, seperti komunitas berdaya, lembaga keagamaan, dan lembaga swadaya masyarakat. Kini, Kementerian Kesehatan melakukan perluasan penyebaran nyamuk berwolbachia di Indonesia. Teknologi Wolbachia melengkapi strategi pengendalian yang sudah masuk ke Stranas atau strategi nasional. Kasus dengue yang tak pernah tuntas di tanah air memerlukan intervensi lain untuk melengkapi program pemberantasan sarang nyamuk. Wolbachia merupakan teknologi yang ramah lingkungan dan berkelanjutan. Wolbachia, nyamuk baik. Ini bukan ember plastik biasa. Mengawali debutnya di Yogyakarta, ember plastik ini melanjutkan perjalanannya ke kota lain. Di dalamnya diletakkan telur nyamuk yang kelak tumbuh menjadi nyamuk baik penghalang demam berdarah. Mereka adalah nyamuk berwolbachia. Sebagai bakteri alami, Wolbachia terbukti aman bagi lingkungan dan manusia. Untuk membuktikan keberhasilan nyamuk baik dalam menghambat virus dengue penyebab demam berdarah, butuh penelitian bertahun-tahun. Dan kini, mereka akan menyebar dan melakukan tugasnya. Kasus DBD yang tinggi dan kesiapan pemangku kepentingan untuk menerima intervensi membuat Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta menjadi titik awal penelitian teknologi nyamuk Aedes aegypti berwolbachia. Ada 4 fase penelitian yang dilakukan, mulai dari studi keamanan Wolbachia, pelepasan nyamuk secara terbatas, pelepasan nyamuk di skala besar, hingga riset implementasi di 2 kabupaten. Yang terbukti menurunkan 77% kasus dengue di wilayah intervensi penelitian. Ini adalah momen peletakan telur nyamuk berwolbachia di Kabupaten Sleman, Kabupaten Bantul, dan Kota Yogyakarta. Tonggak sejarah yang akan menjadikan lingkungan bebas dari dengue tanpa mengubah ekosistem. Lalu, apa kata warga yang sudah merasakan dampak dari nyamuk berwolbachia? Penelitian nyamuk berwolbachia juga telah dipublikasikan dalam sejumlah jurnal dan buku. Dukungan terhadap perjalanan pembuktian nyamuk baik datang dari pemangku kebijakan hingga warga. Tidak sebatas dukungan, hadir juga keterlibatan dari pihak lain. Penelitian 12 tahun dapat berlangsung berkat kolaborasi yang sinergis dari lintas sektor, seperti komunitas berdaya, lembaga keagamaan, dan lembaga swadaya masyarakat. Kini, Kementerian Kesehatan melakukan perluasan penyebaran nyamuk berwolbachia di Indonesia. Teknologi Wolbachia melengkapi strategi pengendalian yang sudah masuk ke Stranas atau strategi nasional. Kasus dengue yang tak pernah tuntas di tanah air memerlukan intervensi lain untuk melengkapi program pemberantasan sarang nyamuk. Wolbachia merupakan teknologi yang ramah lingkungan dan berkelanjutan. Wolbachia, nyamuk baik.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the seminar of Arboviral Diseases in a Changing World, presented to you by the Center of Tropical Medicine, Faculty of Medicine, Public Health and Nursing, Universitas Gadjah Mada, in collaboration with Public Health Master Program, Faculty of Medicine, Public Health and Nursing, Universitas Gadjah Mada. My name is Rima, and I'm going to be your Master of Ceremony for today. Ladies and gentlemen, as today's title seminar, the seminar aims to explore how climate change and global mobility are shaping the emergence, spread, and control of arboviral diseases. Therefore, we already have the experts here. Good morning, thank you. But before that, allow me to greet our invited guests and speakers. The first one, Dr. Indra Tri Mahayana, Doctor of Philosophy, Spesialis Mata, as a representative of Vice Dean for Research and Development. Selamat pagi, Dr. Indra, terima kasih. The next one, we already have Dr. Citra Indriani, Master of Public Health, as the Director of Center for Tropical Medicine. Ibu Citra, selamat pagi, terima kasih. The next one, flying from the Netherlands, we already have Professor Martin Kropusch, Doctor of Philosophy from Amsterdam UMC. Good morning, Prof. Martin. Thank you for joining us today. It's our honor. We also have Professor Egy Arguni, Doctor of Philosophy from the Department of Child Health, Faculty of Medicine, Public Health and Nursing. Prof. Egy, matur nuwun. We also have Bapak Triwibowo Ambargarjito, Doctor of Philosophy from the National Research and Innovation Agency, Republic of Indonesia, or BRIN. Pak Tri, matur nuwun, terima kasih sudah berkenan hadir. And last but not least, joining us from Bangkok, we also have Dr. Riris Andono Ahmad, Master of Public Health, Doctor of Philosophy. Pak Doni, good morning, can you hear us? I hope Pak Doni can hear all of us here. We will see him in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to deliver some brief announcements from the organizing committee. The first one, since today's activity will be documented, allow us to inform you that photos and videos may be taken throughout the event. The documentation may be used for reporting, publication, and institutional communication purposes. We also kindly ask all participants, both online and offline, to remain until the end of the seminar, as the e-certificate link will be shared at the end of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we move on to the opening remarks? The first one, we would like to hear some opening remarks from the Director of the Center for Tropical Medicine. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ibu Dr. Citra Indriani, Master of Public Health.
Test. Okay. So I need, because of ages, so I need my glasses. Sorry. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. How are you today? Very good. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. So warm welcome to all of you already joined us in this room, and also those who already joined also in the Zoom room. Today's seminar is entitled Arboviral Disease in a Changing World. Our world actually changing so fast, actually our government with shifting and evolving geopolitical changes. I'm not sure, is it the climate change make our politic changes, or the politic change our climate? Yeah, so arboviral disease are remaining as a burden in our setting, particularly in the tropical medicine in Indonesia. I don't know whether in Netherlands has also the similar situation, but routinely, I think we will have a cyclic of epidemic on dengue. So hopefully through this seminar will give us an opportunity to learn, to reflect and gain insight on how we can better respond to these challenges, because we already, how many years, Prof. Egi and Pak Garjito? 60 years has been bring all our effort in tackling the dengue. And hopefully in another 10 years, maybe not in the 10 years, with our strong collaboration and also with collaboration with Professor Martin from Netherlands, we hope we can tackle the epidemic of dengue in our countries. We are delighted to have our distinguished speaker with us today, Prof. Martin. Mas Garjito, I always call him as Mas, so it is weird if I call you Pak. So I will call you Mas. Mas mean brothers in Indonesia. If Ibu Egi, I usually use Ibu, not Professor. Sorry ya Ibu. Yeah. And also we have Pak Doni who already joined with us in online, and also Prof. Martin. Thank you for being here and also for sharing your valuable expertise. We would also like to extend our appreciation to Professor Egi for being driving force behind the Arboviruses working group at our centers, and to the organizing committee. The blue uniform is the organizing committee, including me. I hope you all find this session insightful and inspiring, and we look forward to the discussion and potential further collaboration that may emerge from today's exchange. Thank you. Last not least, pantun. Ke Pulau Seribu, lanjut ke Pulau Selayar. Cakep. Bapak Ibu, selamat mengikuti webinar. Terima kasih, Mbak Rima, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ibu Citra. Now I'm thinking about the pantun. What should I reply the pantun? But I don't have any. Maybe later at the end of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Ibu Citra, for the warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the next agenda, we already have the representative from the Vice Dean for Research and Development, Faculty of Medicine, Public Health and Nursing, Universitas Gadjah Mada. Therefore, please welcome Dr. Indra Trimahayana, Doctor of Philosophy, Spesialis Mata. Dr. Indra, monggo.
Thank you. Good morning. Yeah, good morning, everybody. But unfortunately, I don't have any pantun today. Yeah, I don't have time to write the pantun. Yeah. Yeah. Good morning, distinguished speakers, respected colleague, honored guests, and dear participants. Yeah, on behalf of the Dean Office, on behalf of Professor Yodi as the Dean and Professor Lina as the Vice Dean of Research and Innovation, I would like to express our sincere appreciation for your presence and participation today. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all to this seminar. It's a very great seminar. Moreover, because we have so many diseases, so many dengue fever here in Indonesia. We are truly privileged to have with us distinguished expert in this field. Allow me to extend a warm welcome to Professor Martin. Please welcome here in Indonesia. And our moderator, Professor Egi, and Pak Tri, and the head or the director of the Center for Tropical Medicine, Dr. Citra, and also Dr. Iris Andona Ahmad, yeah, in the Zoom room. And also I would like to acknowledge the organizing committee from the Center for Tropical Medicine for their dedication to make this seminar happen, as well as all participants joining us both on-site and from the Zoom online. Yeah, finally I formally open the seminar here today, and I hope this seminar will be insightful, inspiring, and impactful for all of us. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Dr. Indra, for your warm welcome. So, as usual, Prof, Ibu, Bapak, there is no seminar if there are no photo group sessions. So, the next agenda, we would like to have a group photo session. The photographer will take the center stage, and will it duduk atau Okay, so Bapak Ibu disilakan berdiri, you may rise. And please squeeze into the center.
It is like a the shape is like that.
Is it good, Mas Ali? Merapat lagi, silakan Ibu Bapak yang ada di dalam ruangan bisa stand close to each other. Is that okay? Cool, Mas Ali? Okay, in 3, 2, 1, cheers. Oh, another camera now. In 3, 2, 1, cheers. We'd like to invite our participants online as well, so if you want, you can also, open your camera. The last one in 3, 2, 1, cheers. Thank you very much. Let's give it applause to all of us here today. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, now we proceed to the main scientific session, but before that, allow me to introduce Professor Egy Arguni as our moderator for today's discussion. As you can see on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Dr. Egy Arguni, Master of Science, Doctor of Philosophy, Specialist Anak Konsultan, is the head of Arbovirus Working Group at the Center for Tropical Medicine, Universitas Gadjah Mada. She is also the lecturer and staff of Infection and Tropical Disease Division at the Department of Child Health at the same faculty and at Dr. Sarjito General Hospital. She is also the member of Expert Working Group on Arbovirus, Ministry of Health, Republic of Indonesia from 2023 until now. She is also the member of Indonesian Pediatric Society, Asian Pediatric Infectious Diseases, and European Society of Pediatric Infectious Diseases. I am sure Prof. Egy legacy is beyond this slide. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Dr. Egy Arguni, Master of Science, Doctor of Philosophy. Prof. Egy, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Mbak Rima, for this very nice introduction. And thank you and very good morning to everyone. And then we are very appreciate your coming here together to support me because I invited Prof. Martin far away from Amsterdam to come here to give us the discussion and updated topic about the arboviral diseases. And I'm very happy to be your moderator today. And then we'll have the 3 speakers, very knowledge speakers we have today. And then for these first speakers, we will have Dr. Riris Andono Ahmad. Unfortunately, he will join us from Bangkok through online here. Okay, very good. But I would like to test first whether Pak Doni already online. Okay, thank you. Selamat pagi Pak Doni. And
selamat pagi.
Hey, selamat pagi. Yeah, very nice to hear your voice. Mbak Citra, I forgot to bring my glasses. Okay, thank you. Good morning, Pak Doni. Very much thank you for your willingness to be our speaker today. And then I would like to back to the slide of Pak Doni's CV. I believe he is very famous. I don't have to introduce him to all of you, but again, it is my job to introduce him. Dr. Riris Andono Ahmad, he is the lecturer at the Department of Biostatistics, Epidemiology and Population Health, Faculty of Medicine, UGM, head of Master of Public Health Program and then the lead of the Neglected Tropical Disease Working Group, Center for Tropical Medicine, Faculty of Medicine, Public Health and Nursing, UGM, and currently serve as the principal investigator for the implementation of Wolbachia technology in 5 cities in Indonesia. So, Pak Doni, you will have around 20 minutes to deliver your talks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will present in Bahasa Indonesia, Bu Egi. Am I allowed? Selamat pagi Bapak Ibu sekalian, senang rasanya bisa
I'm sorry, Pak Doni.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Pak Doni, would you please deliver your talk in English?
in English.
Yes.
Oh, banyak yang online dari dinas dan sebagainya.
Oh, really? But
Yeah, my slides is in English, but
Sure.
for the audience from
Okay.
what
Our
What do you think?
foreigner here, they can speak Bahasa. Bit. Okay.
I would like you to
Thank you.
hopefully willing to somewhat translate to
Yes.
Prof. Martin.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
very much.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
sorry,
you, Pak
Prof.
Doni. Nah, thank you, Pak Doni. He will find. Thank you, Pak Doni. You
Okay.
can deliver it with Bahasa Indonesia. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Selamat pagi Bapak Ibu sekalian. Apakah slide saya sudah terlihat?
Sudah, Bapak.
Terima kasih. Baik, pagi ini saya diminta untuk membicarakan tentang climate change, kemudian mobilitas manusia dan bagaimana kemudian itu berdampak terhadap ancaman penyakit-penyakit arbovirosis dan kemudian kenapa itu menjadi hal yang sangat penting. Nah, kalau kita bicara arbovirosis itu sendiri, kita tentu saja akan mengingat yang paling utama adalah infeksi dengue atau kita sering lebih kenal sebagai demam berdarah. Demam berdarah itu kalau dari catatan WHO mencatatkan tahun terburuk di tahun 2024 dengan ada sekitar 14 juta lebih kasus di WHO. Dan saat ini WHO mencatat ada lebih dari 100 negara yang mempunyai transmisi aktif. Kalau di estimasi WHO di tahun 2013 itu sekitar ada 300 juta infeksi per tahun. Jadi ini yang tercatat itu sekitar yang menjadi klinis itu menjadi 14,4 juta dan kemudian dari 100 juta negara yang memiliki transmisi aktif itu ditranslasikan menjadi ada sekitar 5,6 miliar penduduk dunia yang terancam oleh infeksi tersebut. 5,6 miliar itu berarti sekitar 70% penduduk dunia. Dan ini terjadi karena dengue, demam dengue itu dan kemudian nyamuk Aedes aegypti itu justru tinggal di pusat-pusat populasi dunia, di kota-kota besar, megacity istilahnya seperti di Jakarta, di Indonesia, di Bangkok, di Dhaka, di Mumbai, di Lagos, ataupun di Sao Paulo di Amerika Selatan. Dan dengan adanya climate change, ada perluasan dalam hal tempat untuk habitat nyamuk, baik secara melebar, mendatar, ataupun meninggi, karena kemudian ada tempat yang nyaman untuk nyamuk berkembang biak semakin meninggi juga. Nah, arbovirus tidak hanya dengue, tetapi juga kita sudah mengenal beberapa yang lainnya. Kita cukup mengenal adanya chikungunya di Indonesia, tidak terlalu besar, tapi cukup berdampak. Secara global tercatat 400.000 kasus lebih dengan area transmisinya di 40 negara. Kemudian juga kita beberapa tahun yang lalu mengenal Zika yang kemudian berdampak sangat luas karena efek sampingnya menjadikan mikrosefali pada bayi yang baru lahir itu sangat meluas pada waktu itu. Kemudian mungkin yang tidak terlalu dikenal di Indonesia adalah yellow fever yang juga ditularkan oleh spesies Aedes. Jadi keempat penyakit ini bisa ditularkan oleh satu vektor yang sama. Nah, sejarah kalau kita bicara tentang infeksi dengue maupun nyamuk Aedes aegypti secara partikular itu juga sangat terkait dengan perubahan iklim maupun mobilitas manusia. Kalau kita menengok beberapa penelitian menunjukkan bahwa asal nyamuk Aedes aegypti itu sebenarnya ada di hutan sub-Saharan Afrika ketika di sana iklimnya masih temperate, masih basah, tapi kemudian sekitar 5.000 tahun yang lalu ada perubahan iklim yang cukup signifikan sehingga hutan-hutan basah di sana mengering menjadi gurun, sehingga kemudian Aedes aegypti harus beradaptasi mencari sumber air untuk tempat tinggal dia untuk berkembang biak, dan itu hanya ada pada pemukiman manusia, dan itu yang kemudian menyebabkan mereka beradaptasi dengan lingkungan manusia. Dan selanjutnya pada abad pertengahan ketika terjadi perdagangan budak antar benua, banyak budak dari Afrika, itu juga kemudian menjadi salah satu penyebab menyebarnya vektor dengue tadi, Aedes aegypti, menjadi sesuatu yang meluas ke Amerika, kemudian ke Eropa, dan apalagi setelah ada revolusi industri, kemudian mobilitas manusia semakin meninggi, ada kanal di Suez itu juga semakin meningkatkan. Nah, sejarah mulai dari perubahan iklim di awalnya, kemudian mobilitas manusia yang semakin meningkat sepanjang waktu, itu yang berpengaruh terhadap penularan dengue dan penyakit-penyakit arbovirus yang lainnya. Di samping itu, kita juga melihat bahwa dengan semakin membaiknya ekonomi dunia, di abad 20-an, paruh abad 20 akhir itu, mulai bermunculan urbanisasi, mega-mega kota-kota besar di penjuru dunia, terutama di Asia dan Amerika Latin, di mana kemudian tanpa perencanaan perkotaan yang memadai itu menjadi sesuatu yang sangat nyaman bagi nyamuk Aedes aegypti untuk berkembang biak. Sebuah studi model matematis itu menunjukkan bahwa akan ada peningkatan sekitar 2 miliar penduduk dunia yang terpapar oleh infeksi dengue karena mereka ada tinggal di wilayah-wilayah yang ada saat ini. Nah, mohon maaf, karena adanya peningkatan penduduk dunia, populasi dunia di kota-kota besar dengan perencanaan yang tidak adekuat, maka kita menyebabkan ada banyak sampah yang tidak terkelola, drainase yang tidak dikelola, itu menjadi sumber berkembang biaknya nyamuk, dan ini yang kemudian menjadi focal point bagi terjadinya transmisi di kota-kota besar tersebut. Nah, itu dari sisi populasi manusianya. Populasi semakin besar, semakin urban, menyebabkan tempat yang nyaman bagi nyamuk untuk berkembang biak. Kemudian di sisi yang lain, populasi yang besar itu juga membutuhkan, menyebabkan manusia mempunyai mobilitas yang lebih tinggi karena dia harus mencari pekerjaan dan sebagainya di tempat lain. Dan itu juga berpengaruh terhadap penyebaran nyamuk maupun virusnya. Sebuah penelitian oleh Peña Garcia itu, ini juga model matematika, mensimulasikan bahwa pola transmisinya itu sangat tergantung dari pola mobilitas di dalam penduduk setempat. Kalau pemukimannya terklaster maupun tempat kerjanya terklaster, itu akan berbeda kalau kemudian tempat kerjanya juga akan tersebar gitu, atau pemukimannya tersebar. Pola transmisinya akan berbeda. Demikian juga ketika mobilitasnya tidak dalam satu populasi tetapi antar populasi. Penelitian Salami juga menunjukkan bahwa kedekatan dari hub-hub internasional, bandara internasional itu akan berpengaruh terhadap pola penyebaran dengue di negara-negara Eropa dan negara-negara yang kalau kemudian ketika liburan musim panas misalnya menjadi connecting hub untuk berbagai penerbangan ke wilayah-wilayah yang uh, sifatnya di tropis atau subtropis. Hal yang lain juga karena sekarang tadi Bu Citra menyebutkan ada pemerintah yang berubah, kemudian geopolitik juga berubah. Tentu saja kita mendengar selama ini perang menyebabkan displacement, bencana alam menyebabkan displacement, dan menyebabkan migrasi yang skala luas. Migrasi itu akan bisa berpengaruh untuk mengubah pola transmisi karena ada orang yang dari endemic country atau endemic area ke low endemic area, ketika kemudian low endemic area itu juga reseptif untuk nyamuk arbovirus, untuk nyamuk Aedes aegypti dan sejenisnya, maka dia akan menjadi tempat perkembangan biakan baru. Dan jangan lupa tadi di awal saya bicara tentang perdagangan budak manusia, itu sudah di berapa abad yang lalu. Itu merupakan perdagangan, dan dengan volume perdagangan yang semakin meningkat saat ini secara global, tentu saja itu juga akan menyebabkan kecepatan transmisi antar negara, antar benua itu juga akan semakin meningkat. Jadi itu kalau kita bicara tentang mobilitas. Nah sekarang mobilitas itu juga ternyata tidak terdampak pada transmisinya saja, penyebaran vektor maupun penularan penyakitnya, infeksinya, tetapi juga mobilitas kita sangat berdampak terhadap perubahan cuaca. Dulu mungkin ketika sebelum abad 20 kita banyak penggunaan karbon fuel atau bahan bakar fosil itu sangat rendah. Tetapi ketika industrialisasi masif terjadi di abad 20, kita mencatat bahwa mobilitas sektor transportasi global itu menyumbang sekitar 24% emisi gas kaca secara global. 3/4 dari emisi transportasi berasal dari transportasi darat, mobil pribadi, truk angkutan barang, maupun juga penerbangan dan perkapalan yang keduanya menyumbang sekitar 20% sisanya. Di sisi lain, mobilitas tadi kan merupakan hub untuk menghubungkan antara produsen dan konsumen, dan salah satu penyumbang climate change itu adalah sistem pangan global kita, bagaimana industri peternakan itu menyumbang hingga 30% emisi secara global, dan kita bisa lihat bahwa emisi global itu sebagian besar karena bahan bakar fosil. Nah, mobilitas menyebabkan penularan, mobilitas juga menjadi salah satu penyebab utama climate change, dan climate change sendiri itu kemudian berdampak secara langsung terhadap nyamuknya maupun terhadap penularannya. Saya rasa nanti pada sisi vektor Pak Garjito akan lebih banyak bicara tentang hal itu. Tetapi secara umum dari banyak penelitian menunjukkan bahwa peningkatan suhu itu bisa menyebabkan life cycle-nya nyamuk menjadi lebih cepat, nyamuknya lebih cepat dewasa, kemudian menyebabkan dia menggigit lebih banyak, angka reproduksinya lebih tinggi, sehingga transmisinya meningkat. Kemudian inkubasi ekstrinsiknya virusnya juga lebih cepat, dan seterusnya. Perubahan cuaca itu juga meningkatkan, terutama yang meningkatkan curah hujan itu juga menyebabkan jumlah breeding site itu semakin meluas, membanyak, meningkatkan kemampuan survivalnya nyamuk, dan tahun 2023 ketika terjadi El Nino di Pasifik itu yang kemudian berdampak terhadap meningkatnya kasus yang sangat luar biasa yang tadi saya sebutkan di awal, kasus dengue di Brasil terutama dan menjadi kasus dengue terburuk dalam sejarah dunia. Kemudian climate change juga menyebabkan perluasan tempat perindukan. Kalau tadinya wilayahnya itu melulu pada daerah di sekitar pita wilayah Katulistiwa, karena climate change dia meluas wilayahnya menjadi ke daerah-daerah yang subtropis misalnya, sehingga wilayah yang terdampak semakin meluas. Di samping itu juga karena perubahan cuaca juga suhu meningkat, maka daerah-daerah tinggi yang tadinya dingin itu menjadi lebih hangat dan menjadi tempat yang nyaman juga untuk Aedes aegypti berkembang biak. Beberapa penelitian mencatat bahwa Aedes albopictus sudah ada kemudian di Mediterania, kasus-kasus lokal muncul di negara-negara Eropa, dan misalnya di Jepang beberapa waktu tahun yang lalu ada outbreak yang besar di Tokyo akibat adanya memang populasi Aedes aegypti. Jadi tiganya saling terkait satu sama lain. Ini tadi saya menunjukkan adanya El Nino. Kita lihat kasus dengue over time itu pada tahun 2024 yang dampak dari El Nino di Pasifik meningkatkan kasus dengue yang jauh lebih tinggi dibandingkan tahun-tahun sebelumnya. Dan sepertinya El Nino, La Nina itu sering dikenal sebagai anomali cuaca, anomali iklim, tetapi mungkin ke depan itu bukan menjadi anomali lagi, tapi sesuatu yang lebih normal dibandingkan menjadi anomali. Jadi mungkin sebagai bagian dari ringkasan, 3 driver ini, populasi yang semakin meningkat, manusia, itu ditambah dengan mobilitas, dan itu berdampak pada climate change yang semakin meningkat juga, saling berinteraksi menyebabkan resiko penularan tidak hanya meningkat, tetapi secara bermakna meningkat akibat interaksi ketiganya. Dan ini yang saya rasa perlu menjadi perhatian kita, karena hanya faktor kontrol itu ada di ujung, tetapi tanpa kita bicara banyak tentang ketiga faktor tersebut, tentu saja itu akan dampaknya tidak akan cukup efektif dibandingkan kita mengatasi dampak masalahnya dari hulu. Dan ke depan saya rasa dengue itu menjadi ujung tombaknya, tetapi ketika faktornya semakin meningkat, populasinya manusia semakin meningkat juga, tentu saja ini akan menjadi berdampak menjadi semacam katalitik bagi virus-virus yang lain, chikungunya, Zika, ada West Nile atau West Nile virus, itu akan lebih mudah untuk menyebar dan bisa saja itu menjadi concern berikutnya di samping virus dengue. Nah, apa yang kemudian perlu kita lakukan? Tentu saja tadi saya mengatakan faktor kontrol tetap, tetapi faktor kontrol saja tidak mencukupi karena itu ada di ujung dari masalah tadi. Tetapi kemudian kita perlu melakukan salah satu inovasi faktor kontrol yang saat ini banyak dibicarakan adalah Wolbachia, karena itu menyebabkan kapasitas nyamuk Aedes aegypti untuk menularkan infeksi dengue itu menjadi berkurang. Kemudian juga pada sisi sistem kesehatan masyarakat, tentu saja karena semakin resiko semakin seringnya terjadinya outbreak, kita perlu mempersiapkan health system untuk bisa lebih siaga terhadap adanya outbreak ataupun epidemik. kita perlu juga menyiapkan point of care untuk bisa diagnosis maupun layanan kesehatan, karena salah satu penyebab kematian dengue itu lebih karena bukan karena obatnya tidak ada, bukan karena case manajemennya itu sangat sulit, tetapi lebih pada kesiapan sistem kesehatan untuk mengelola secara baik. Dan saya rasa yang paling berdampak besar tentu saja adalah climate policy, di mana apabila kita mampu menurunkan suhu global atau kemudian menghambat peningkatan suhu global, tentu saja akan bisa berdampak di hulu terkait dengan beberapa hal penyebab semakin meningkat dan meluasnya wilayah maupun jumlah populasi Aedes aegypti secara menyeluruh. Jadi kalau kita sebagai ringkasan gitu, sekarang penyakit arbovirus tidak hanya masalah di wilayah tropis saja, tapi sudah meluas ke wilayah-wilayah yang subtropis. Kemudian kita tahu bahwa sejarah Aedes aegypti maupun dengue pada akhirnya itu sangat tergantung terkait pada perubahan iklim maupun mobilitas. Kemudian kita tahu mobilitas kita semakin meningkat, sehingga resiko penularan, resiko kasus penyakit arbovirosis akan jauh lebih meningkat ke depan. Dan untuk itu kita tidak bisa melakukan tindakan pengendalian seperti business as usual, tetapi kita perlu mencari cara baru agar seluruh masalah tersebut bisa diperhatikan dan kemudian kita bisa membuat strategi yang lebih integratif maupun komprehensif. Itu saja dari saya. Ini beberapa referensi yang saya gunakan, dan terima kasih atas waktunya. Saya kembalikan ke Bu Egi sebagai moderator.
Yes, we can give a big applause to Pak Doni. Thank you so much, Pak Doni, for this very insightful discussion. And also we hope you still around. So after the third speaker, we will have the question and answer session. Thank you so much. And then the next speaker will have, I also call him Mas Garjito. Okay, can I have, Bapak Triwibawa Ambar Garjito, he's the researcher at the vector-borne diseases and zoonosis research group, Center for Public Health and Nutrition Research Research Organization, a National Research and Innovation Agency from 2022 up to present. And also a young lecturer at the Department of Tropical Medicine, Faculty of Medicine, Public Health and Nursing, Universitas Gadjah Mada, and also member of the Expert Commission for Vector Control and Disease Carrying Animals, Ministry of Health, Indonesia. From 2016, Pak Garjito will deliver the topic of vector on the move, climate change and arboviral disease spread. Pak Garjito, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for Professor Eki, and first of all I would like to thank you very much for the organizing committee for inviting me. This is a great honor for me. And today, Prof. Eki, I speak in bahasa atau English? English, okay. So, I will follow Prof. Eki. So today I'm going to discuss with all of the participants here about the vector on the move, the climate change and arboviral disease spread. Yeah. So how to change this slide? Okay, sorry. Yeah. So before we talk about the vector, so I think all of us know very well that in the 21st century, the climate change is one of the greatest threat to human health. So since 1900s, global mean temperatures have already increased by 1.1 degrees Celsius, and this change is most occurred during the past 50 years. So according to the IPCC, the sixth assessment report of the Intergovernmental Panels, the global average surface temperature will reach or exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius in the next 2 decades. So this is really need to pay attention for all of us, because of the change of the surface temperature will give impact, especially for the transmission of the vector-borne diseases. So I think Dr. Doni already mentioned about the impact of the biology or behavior of the vector of the especially arboviruses, especially for the more faster life cycle and then more productivity of the egg light and something like that. Yeah. So next slide. Yeah, this is just figures that explain about the deforestation, land use change, and industrialization that really contribute to the climate change. And this is some figure that I take in several parts in Kalimantan: land use change, deforestation, and industrialization. The industrialization is just take from the internet, yeah. So I put the sources in the below. This is the major anthropogenic driver of climate change, that because of the greenhouse gas emission and reduce carbon storage in the ecosystem, and also intensify the fossil fuel-based economic activities. Next slide, please. Yeah, when we see about this figure, this is a little bit easy to explain about the change in average surface temperature and also average precipitation due to the climate change. So when we see during the last 50 years, this is about 1.1 degrees Celsius increase in the surface temperature, and it also gives impact for the average precipitation. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, in period of 2011 until 2021, when we compare with data in 1956 until 1976, the increasing will be impact for the intensify the precipitation of pattern and also accelerate the melting of the glacier, and of course it will give contribute to the rise in sea level. So this impact will give this change will give impact, especially for the some disease pattern, especially the vector-borne diseases. Next slide, please. This is data from the BMKG, yeah, BMKG, Badan Meteorologi dan Geofisika, ya, the National Institute for Meteorology and Geophysics, that explain about the Indonesian situation until 2025. When we see the graphic, this is really a worse situation, because of in years of 2024 was the hottest years when comparing with the other years, even in 100 ago. So the average temperature is 27.5 degrees Celsius, and the anomaly is of 0.8 degrees Celsius. When we compare with the global situation in the same year, the situation also the hottest years on the record. So the period of 2015 until 2024 periods is the hottest recorded history, and this is also explained about the consistent global warming trend. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, this is just just a simple illustration about the impact of the global warming occurring in the earth, because of when we got a global warming, so it will give impact for the warming of this ocean, and also alteration in timing, geographic distribution, and also intensity and patterns of the weather and climate events. When the warming in the ocean, so it will give impact for the melting of the glacier and also rising sea level, and it will give impact for the more salt-tolerant mosquito vector species, and resulting in a change in the transmission of dynamic in a vector-borne diseases. When we are comparing with the increasing in the floods and also increase in the extreme storm and increase in the drought. So it will give impact, especially for the change in the distribution and abundance of the host and reservoir, and also change in the interaction among human reservoir and also the host. So in the right slide, this is also explain about the increase in the temperature and health waves, and also decrease in the health frost. So it also gives impact, especially for the extended disease transmission season, and also increased risk of the antibiotic resistance. This is, even though this is not in part of vector-borne diseases, but this is also need to pay attention, because of antibiotic resistance is also the threat for public health currently. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, just take from the NGEH CDC about the impact of the climate change. When the climate change give impact for the vector, and especially the change in the vector ecology, it will give impact for the potential increasing transmission, especially for the vector-borne disease such as dengue, encephalitis, and also maybe chikungunya and West Nile virus, and not only maybe for the arboviruses, but also the malaria. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, this is interesting report from the BMKG that explain about the situation in Indonesia. When we get a report from the Zoom, Zoom is an area whose average rainfall pattern clearly differ between the dry and rainy season. So we can see here that even though we have one landscape, but the pattern of the rainfall is very different. So why in a dengue vector control especially, we need to conduct a local specific vector control approach, because of the pattern is different from the west into the east. For example, in the west part of the Indonesia, in the Sumatra, we can see the pattern is different. Even though in the Sumatra land, then the pattern of the rainfall is different. So this is very interesting, and we need to integrate this data for the implementation of the vector control approach. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, this is also the seasonal zone in every provinces in Indonesia, and we can see this is also explain about the differentiation of the situation in Sumatra, Java, Bali, and even in Papua. Yeah. In Papua, it's more various because of the rainfall over there is continuous throughout the years. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. Based on this previous slides, I think this is can explain about this figure why the dengue case pattern is different. Maybe when we comparing in Semarang and Makassar into the Palu, for example, here. In Semarang and Makassar, the dengue case pattern are related to the rainfall, but maybe when we see in the Palu and also in Papua, the dengue case pattern are not related to the rainfall. So that's why we need to integrate the data from the BMKG, from the climate data, with the pattern and also with the vector control approach. Yeah. Next slide, please. Sorry, previously. Yeah. This is very interesting result, data from the Palu, because of the decrease of the cases in a Palu every year is come only during the either Eid Mubarak or Idul Fitri, and also in Christmas. Why in the Eid Mubarak and Christmas? Because many people in the city go out from the city. So the cases is decreased because of the many people go out from the city, not from the situation of the climate over there. So this is very interesting data for the Palu. Yeah, this is a dengue vector. I think all of the participant or all the audience here is already know very well about the Aedes aegypti and also Aedes albopictus and the differentiation between this morphologically of this mosquito. So I think I will skip this. Next slide. And then when we talk about the Aedes aegypti, I think Dr. Doni already mentioned about the history of the Aedes aegypti from the forest dwelling sub-Saharan mosquito species come into the urban mosquito. This is actually occurred during the last 500 years ago. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is just how the map explains about the expansion of the Aedes aegypti. Sorry, I forgot to put the source of this figure. From the first New World, and then go through to the some part in Africa, and then go through to the Asia here. Yeah. Yeah. Next slide, please. And this is a key factor that give the contribution of the Aedes aegypti expansion. Globalization and human movement, of course. I fully agree with that Dr. Donny said that human movement and globalization give the very big impact for the introduction of the Aedes aegypti into the new region, and also to change some people from the one side to the other side. And then climate change, of course, this will give very big impact also for the expanding of the potential habitat for the mosquito in the previously unsuitable areas. Urbanization, I think, is a relation with the human movement, of course, and then ecological adaptability and socio-economic factors. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, based on the climate change, I think we can see about this figure that's published by Liu and also Zosa, that I think also Dr. Donny explained before. It is similar because when high temperatures occur, it will give the change vector activities and bite rates, and it also increase the transmission risk, and also alter the extrinsic incubation period, and also increase the survival of adult female vector. So that's why the effect of the temperature on the biological characteristic Aedes will give impact for the potential of the spreading of the arboviral transmission in the world. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is just in draft for publication because we get some interesting result from many locations in Indonesia that during actually the target is not for Aedes, but when we collect mosquito during the 6 p.m. until 6 a.m., we collect every hours, indoor and outdoor, by using human landing collection. We surprised because we got always Aedes aegypti and also Aedes albopictus. Sorry, I do not put the Aedes albopictus in this slide. Collected almost in every hours until the morning. And surprisingly, during the nighttime collection, we also find the presence of the dengue and chikungunya viruses from the mosquito. So that's why maybe we just draft for the possible night dengue transmission in several locations in Indonesia, and I think it just give the maybe pay attention for all of us because of the potential of the transmission, even though mostly in the day, but during the night the potential also occur, even though it's very few. Yeah. Next slide, please. This is our study that explains about the homogeneity and possible replacement of population. Even though we put the name of possible replacement of population, but actually this is only a very small impact for the population of the Aedes aegypti or Aedes albopictus itself. So mostly on the Aedes aegypti is all samples belonging to the same maternal lineage. So we can conclude that all the population of the Aedes aegypti in Indonesia definitely is one population. So it will give the benefit for us, especially when we target it for the look like Wolbachia or maybe sterile insect technique. So it will not to worry about the maybe difference of population genetic from the other side to the other side. So it will be give easier for implementation actually of the some vector control approach that based on the population. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the same same situation when we compare with the Aedes albopictus. They also have similar maternal lineage from a study that we have been conducted in Indonesia. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah, even though the Aedes albopictus is a secondary vector of the dengue, chikungunya, and others arboviruses, but we also need to pay attention of this mosquito because of in some spot in European, for example, in Italy and also in France, that Aedes albopictus has role as the important vector for the arboviral disease over there. So that's why I think I have a very productive discussion several years ago with Professor Tom Burkon from James Cook that we talk about the successful Wolbachia in area in Kane, and Professor Tom Burkon said that this work well for the Wolbachia implementation in Kane because of there is only Aedes aegypti over there. So in Indonesia, it's very good for the implementation of Wolbachia, but we need also to pay attention for the Aedes albopictus. For the future, when we can control successfully for the Aedes aegypti, so we still have the homework with the Aedes albopictus. So this is really interesting for maybe for our discussion about this. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, this is invasive of the Aedes albopictus that currently already published in many area in the world, and we can see maybe they spreading more wide than Aedes aegypti because of in Europe, Aedes albopictus can survive and can spread very well in several parts of Europe. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah, it is just illustration that published by Crawford in 2023 about the global genetic differentiation and variability of the mosquito Aedes albopictus. Next slide, please. This is the explanation about the global distribution Aedes aegypti comparing with the Aedes albopictus. So when we see here, even though the Aedes aegypti is more maybe density in a tropical area, but Aedes albopictus can be survive better in a temperate area, not only in a tropical area. Yeah. Next slide, please. And this is the global distribution of the reported dengue case since 1943 that published by Messina in 2014 and also then adopted by WHO in 2024. This is very fast distribution and spreading of the disease since 1980 until 2013. Yeah, next slide, please. And when we compare with the suitability map for the arboviruses disease, I think Dr. Doni also already mentioned this. I think just add for what Dr. Doni explained. This is a figure that explain about the spreading of the dengue and comparing with the chikungunya and Zika and also yellow fever. Next slide. Yes, this is my last slide. That this is just a little bit conclusion actually because of the conclusion I think I cannot be wrap up all. So this is the infectious disease, especially the arbovirus disease, represent a major global and national health concern with a high prevalence, severe health and economic impact, and linked to climate change effects. And climate change can impact the change and distribution of arbovirus vector, potentially increase the risk of the vector-borne diseases. And of course, climate change significantly influences the spread and transmission dynamic of the diseases by altering temperature, precipitation, humidity, flooding, and drag pattern which affect vector ecology, host interaction, and also habitat. And of course, multidisciplinary approach should be conducted together. And the collaboration, contribution by multiple institute, expert researchers, not only from Indonesia, but also for international partners, have been critical in advance knowledge and response capacity in the field. And the acceleration pace of the climate change will continue to expand and intensify the threat of the infectious disease, especially for the arboviral transmission. So I think requiring the coordinated scientific public health policy and response at both national and international levels. That's just my slide. This is just my acknowledgement and nice slides. Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. This is lunch during in the forest. Yeah, when we collect mosquito. Yeah, hopefully, yeah, this very enjoy in the North Kalimantan, in the border of Indonesia and Malaysia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mas Garjito. Very interesting, especially for the nice picture in the last slide. Yeah, thank you so much, and Bapak Ibu, please stay with us because we will have the last speaker, but not the least. Prof. Martin will give the lecture about the arboviral infection lesson from abroad. Yeah, we will have a very interesting topic because yeah, we know that Amsterdam is not the area with dengue is endemic, but now we can have the new perspective based on your talk. Prof. Martin is the professor of tropical medicine and travel medicine, Amsterdam UMC. He also the head Center for Tropical Medicine and Travel Medicine, and a faculty member at Department of Infectious Diseases, Division of Internal Medicine, and then a researcher with, focuses on tropical medicine, infectious diseases, and all of the aspects of the infectious disease around the world. Yes, let's hear about the lecture. Thank you, Prof. Martin. The time is yours.
Thank you so much, Prof. Eggy and colleagues, for the opportunity to speak here and to share some thoughts on dengue. If I may have my first slide, please. Oh, thank you. So I'm working in Amsterdam, that's true, where we see dengue particularly at present still, mainly as an imported condition in travelers from around the world. But I'm also working in other settings. I'm a director of a research unit in rural Sierra Leone in West Africa. I'm working in Gabon in the Central African rainforest at the old Albert Schweitzer Hospital since many years. But I'm also working in the South American rainforest in a remote area in the border between Ecuador and Colombia. And I thought I'd share some thoughts on clinical features and epidemiological features in these various settings, because they might differ very much from what you are seeing here. And lessons from abroad means abroad from Indonesia. So the next slide, please. So we'll look at the dengue situation, or just some flashlights of it across the globe. And the first area abroad I would like to discuss briefly with you is South America. Next slide, please. Shall I? I can also operate the slide. So this is where it all started. This was Professor Eggy visiting a couple of weeks ago, and you can see already at the beginning of our meeting, we were all quite happy, but on day 3, the smiles were even broader. So many exciting things to do. There's also Ika Septihandayani, one of my team members with whom I work since many years, who also established the contact and got it going. We are moving to South America. And let's start with Africa, basically, for some reason. So 2 places there where we are going, ecologically completely distinct. The dense Central African rainforest can be probably compared to Borneo or so, but with the difference that it's in many parts still very dense and intact, and then the savanna of West Africa, basically. Now, you are well acquainted with the dengue situation, and the interesting thing is that in Africa, for some reason, the situation is rather different than from the situation encountered in parts of Asia, including Indonesia and South America. The competent vectors are there. The ecosystems are also very favorable. But the interesting thing is that in Africa, dengue and other arboviral diseases, including yellow fever, are competing with each other, but dengue and chikungunya, for example, they are there, but they hardly ever lead to a distinct feature, let alone to a clinical diagnosis of dengue fever. If we look at the 4 dengue syndromes, the undifferentiated fever in the young, maybe without a rash even, then classical dengue fever, maybe biphasic with a rash, occurring on seroconversion, classical clinical picture may be difficult to distinguish in all cases, even for the experts, from what chikungunya and Zika might present with, but we hardly ever see this in Africa. We only see, let alone dengue shock syndrome in younger individuals or classical dengue hemorrhagic fever, I would say, never ever see it in Africa. So if we look at the prevalence, then for some reason, while the vectors are there, it's more a problem of the Sahelian countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, bearing a much higher brunt than other places. And this is reflected in the recent epidemiology. Dengue is massively on the rise. Climate change might also play a role here, actually, but we do not see it necessarily everywhere as much as we would expect it to be. I don't know where I have to point this to get the next slide. So if you come with me to my research unit in Mazanga, this is rural Sierra Leone. I started working there during the Ebola outbreak about 10 years ago, set up a research unit, and there, very recently, we accomplished a big study in this rural hospital, maybe 120 beds somewhere in a very remote area, but a catchment area of 400 to 500,000 people. And here we just accomplished a 1-year fever study. And in this fever study, we were not looking at every cause of fever. We had to be selective. So we focused on the 900 plus patients, probably very few as compared to what you encounter here, the more than 900 patients which required hospitalization due to an acute febrile illness. So really not the outpatient department full with young children with malaria, most of which could be treated on outpatient basis, but really looking at people severely ill enough to be hospitalized. And the interesting thing here is, like one would expect, the majority of severely ill patients would have been malaria. Almost half of the cases of febrile illness would be malaria, and in those hospitalized, maybe 30%, and all the others would be bacterial sepsis, all the reasons which you might find for, or the causes in a tropical setting, mostly bacterial. And whilst we were able to diagnose most easily, there were, apart from the causes listed above, there were only about 40 patients out of 760 with a diagnosis which would not have any of the mainstream diagnoses. And dengue doesn't belong to it. We had one single patient, can you imagine? One single patient, whilst the vectors are there, whilst the virus is circulating, who was so severely ill from acute dengue that she required admission. And again, we do not see, there is this old argument, can't you see a rash on a very dark skin, yes or no? Or is there no rash? But at present, we never ever see classical dengue. It's an undifferentiated fever, very often misdiagnosed as malaria. People are in doubt because malaria is the leading killer, and if no malaria parasites are found, very often still people receive, at least in non-academic settings, malaria treatment. And many cases, for sure, of milder dengue go unnoticed, but it is definitely a problem of a lower rank, actually. The only of the four principal arboviruses we discussed already is yellow fever, which, for reasons I do not understand, we do not see in Asia. But that is a considerable problem in our setting. We move a little bit further down south. Gabon lies basically on the same height as Georgia. With regard to the equator, basically, we are moving in its dense rainforest, and there is the Albert Schweitzer Hospital since 1900, the early 1900s, and there I did being a malariologist from home, a malaria control study in young children 2.5 decades ago, and what we did there is we intervened against malaria, followed up a cohort of 2,500 children over 30 months of age. And at a certain stage, I got interested in checking, because we never see dengue as a clinical problem, and we checked for seroprevalence. And the interesting thing is that the proportion of 30-month-old children who gradually became dengue positive from month 6, month 12, reached at least 13%, although we must confess in some areas of the world it's very difficult to disentangle data to be very clean on whether there might be co-reactivity, cross-reactivity with yellow fever vaccination, which they receive at young age. But there were enough patients to show that, or enough individuals who did not receive yellow fever vaccination, that we could show that a certain proportion of the undifferentiated fevers we see, which are never diagnosed for dengue, are in fact dengue. But the problem is far less than what we encounter in South America and in Asia. And we can nicely see that there is a sequence of dengue serotypes moving through Africa. Most cases were historically dengue 2. Now we see increasingly also dengue 3, but still we do not see antibody enhancing phenomena or something. We never ever see dengue as a severe, as a cause of severe disease. Maybe I thought that's for interest. We are moving to an entirely different area. I'm also working in another very remote area. This is Amazonia. And it's a very difficult situation to work in because this is drug cartel country. There's almost no stately order. And many people are in need for health care, and 2 former students of mine, actually, they have moved into that area. They founded a hospital there, and in an old ladies' convent right in the middle of the jungle. And we were just looking at whether dengue would be a problem in this riverine community. So we have very remote areas. Of course, you know, dengue is a problem of the similar or same dimension in South America as it is in Asia. It goes in waves through the continent. Zika, chikungunya are competing. At present, there is a large chikungunya outbreak going on in some fringe areas of northern South America. Suriname, for example, leads to lots of patients also seen in our area. But dengue is rife everywhere. But we figured out when we did a study mainly looking at malaria, where we saw that there is hardly any malaria left in this area of the Amazon jungle. To our surprise, we found that whilst we see in smaller towns, bigger towns, a dengue problem which is the same as everywhere in South America, mainly sylvatic transmission, thankfully no urban transmission, but we do have a significant dengue problem. But when you come with me on a boat and we travel along the Amazon tributaries, 70, 80 kilometers up and down the river, we will meet fisher communities, farmer communities, which are completely disentangled from the rest of the world. They can only be reached by boat. And the interesting thing is, whilst the area is rife with competent vectors, it takes an enormous time before outbreaks in the more populated area trickle down into the jungle. So I had always this old prejudice that I thought if the competent vectors are there, then there must also be lots of dengue in the jungle areas of the world. But the opposite is the case. If you do not have, it's basically the humans which drive the viruses through the mosquito populations. And if there is very little interaction with the humans, it's not the mosquitoes which acquire the mosquitoes are mostly, at least in South America, confined to one place. They don't travel far. Of course, they can be distributed by trade winds, but usually they stay very local. And if humans live in very remote areas, they are by and large protected from many infectious diseases to a much higher proportion than I ever thought. And I'm not sure how it is in certain parts of Indonesia which are not densely populated, where you still have indigenous populations. It might be the same. Yeah, I'm not sure. Now we are moving on to another part of the world, and this is Amsterdam and Europe. And climate change is a big topic in Europe as well, probably rightfully so, because Europe has been over centuries the driving force behind climate change. Interestingly, even worse than other regions, the climate change is most extreme in the polar regions and in Europe. And we do have, since quite a while, also the problem of dengue, other arboviral infections, every year now, since about 2010, that it re-establishes itself in certain parts. Re-establishing because we know historically that 200-300 years ago, when there was a lot of importation, for example, from Asia to Amsterdam through trade, that we had competent vectors there. We don't know about past dengue outbreaks, but for 150 years or so, Aedes albopictus was not present in our areas, but by now the vectors have been re-established. But on average, in Northern Europe, the temperatures are still too low. But if we go to areas like Italy, last year, a large outbreak, actually, when you went into Northern Italy, you would be warned of dengue in the same way as you are warned if you are entering an endemic area somewhere in the tropics. And every year now, the same with malaria, but much more pronounced with the various arboviral infections, not Zika, but chikungunya occasionally, but particularly dengue. We see it now every year for a couple of weeks, if not months, causing local classical dengue fever, actually. Yeah. Now, Aedes albopictus is again, I can't go back anyway. Yeah, well, I'm going back now. Here we see that Aedes albopictus is almost everywhere in Europe, in Western Europe as well. And as I said, in Southern Europe, it's a big problem as an imported, or it's becoming a problem now. It's a very sexy topic, infectious diseases and climate change. We are talking about that all the time as physicians, as infectious disease specialists, but in all honesty, the change in ecology of infectious diseases is not the biggest problem in our area of the world. In the north, mainly, if you go to North America, the big problem is forest fires. In our part of the world, it will be drought on the one hand. We can see that already, that in classical lush Western Europe, we get now very, very dry summers and problems also with our crops. And the other problem is the opposite, is flooding. As you know, the Netherlands have been claimed from the sea. Most of the country I'm now living in is 1 or 2 meters below sea limit, and it's getting increasingly difficult to fence the sea off. So infectious diseases is probably not going to be our biggest problem. But if you look at the future of dengue in Europe, it's on the rise, and it will be a constant guest. We also see, by the way, not only chikungunya and dengue, but West Nile fever is getting a foothold in parts of Europe, as far north as in Germany and in the Netherlands. But as an imported problem, dengue is amongst the leading causes of illness in returning travelers. In my unit, we see about 2,000 returning travelers per year, of which 1,000 present with an acute febrile disease, and half of them at least do have a arboviral disease, and dengue is here absolutely in the lead. You can see here on the next slide, if it's materializing, I have difficulties with this remote control, but what I wanted to show, if we are able to go back again, one more slide. What we can see is if we look at about 100,000, 120,000 diagnoses of imported conditions by travelers in pooled data from all over Europe, we can see this enormous career of dengue if we look at 5 years blocks from 1998 onwards. Certainly more awareness, better diagnosis, but really a true increase in numbers. And if we try to look at risk estimations of what you could get as an infectious diseases when you are visiting certain areas and then returning back to Europe, it's too small to be read, but the third most important diagnosis, the fourth or fifth most important diagnosis in Central and South America, if we encounter a febrile traveler in Europe, is due to dengue. In Oceania and Southeast Asia, dengue is the main reason for somebody to present as a returning traveler to Europe, actually. So, and the other interesting question is, how severe is the disease which we see? And what we see here, this very tiny black fringe, is the number not of cases with some sort of warning signs or complications, but really death due to dengue. These are very, very, very rare, but probably the data are a bit underestimated. This is where we stand in Europe. And yeah, I hope this offers a sort of a interesting perspective. One point, very important and close to my heart, is that most of our knowledge about dengue stems from Asia, mainly from the studies done in the 1950s and 60s at Mahidol University, where also the, at that time and in that place, certainly rightful theory of auto-enhancing antibodies was forged and developed. But the interesting thing is, and the same might apply to your setting, it doesn't hold true for every setting. So we do not see as much of these auto-enhancing phenomenon as one would expect, with more and more serotypes showing up in the same areas. And the interesting thing is, and we now understand why this is the case, it has most likely to do with the height of the antibodies which you do have after an infection. So naturally in those areas where you have an enormous number of infectious bites per year, where you can get dengue again within a year after you had suffered from an episode, there we do see more secondary complicated dengue. But if we look at the very scarce and poorly recorded data which we have in Europe about dengue as an imported condition, then as an imported condition outside endemic areas, the first episode is far often worse than the second episode. And for our settings, this is very important when it comes to discussing vaccinations. And I'd be very, very interested in learning about your perspective. And with that, I'm coming to an end. We discussed the auto-enhancement phenomenon. This was Professor Eggy working very hard with us, but also having the time to see some of the nice sides of the Netherlands. This is only the beginning of a great collaboration, hopefully with many of you, and I'd like to thank you. And if this works, then the next slide is a feeble attempt to say Terima kasih. I hope it's correct, actually, and if there are any questions, we are going to take them. Thank you.
Thank you so much for Martin about the very interesting topic. And then I invite Mas Kajito to sit in front, and also Prof. Martin here. So we will have question and answer session, and I invite all of you to ask questions because we have 5 persons to the one who give questions, but not from you and you. Okay. So, do we have questions now? One question, yes? The microphone, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Martin. That's really interesting presentation of you. So from your presentation, that I recognize that travel medicine just takes responsibility to how vector-borne disease, also arboviral diseases are mobilized and also transmitted from country to country. So do you have any more than a lesson learned from maybe Asia or Europe or Gabon from how they implemented travel medicine policy that could contribute to the arboviral control? Thank you.
Yeah, maybe we can have these questions first, and then you can directly answer the questions. Thank you.
Shall I do?
Yeah.
Thank you for your question. I'm not entirely sure I got the question precisely. So you are wondering in what way travel medicine might reflect the epidemiology of the countries where people are coming from, or did I not get it rightly?
Yeah, it's more like a lesson learned from how the countries just implemented their travel medicine that could contribute to the arboviral control, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe the different sites, for example, Africa, or maybe your country do this kind of the control, right? For the tackling
control.
this, tackling this travel medicine.
Well, you mean
diseases.
how, if it's about how we advise people to avoid the disease? So firstly, about half of the populations we see with certain conditions out of the area, namely in the Netherlands, for example, is travelers, but the other half is people who are living and come from these areas and then visit us in the Netherlands. And I think for people coming from an endemic area, the situation is quite different, but for those who are going to travel, for sure there are possibilities to try to help them preventing falling ill with, if you are a short-term traveler, I think prevention against or limiting risk for contracting arboviral diseases is probably not that difficult, because if you are only traveling, let's say as a tourist or a business person for 1 or 2 weeks, then adherence to repellent use shouldn't be too difficult, which is not an option, I believe, if you are living in an endemic area. You are not perfuming yourself every day from morning to evening with DEET. That is not possible. But as a short-term traveler, if you understand the concept that disease transmission is entirely different, for example, from the one of malaria, where you protect yourself at nighttime with an insecticide-impregnated net, if people understand the concept that's different with day biters, actually then many people reduce their risk by using DEET. If you are traveling long term, if you are living somewhere, you need to explain the concept of a dry day, how you reduce the number of mosquitoes in your immediate vicinity, etc. And the newest kid on the block, and that would be also my question to you, how you are going about that, actually is vaccination. With the chikungunya vaccine, the TAK-003 vaccine, we do see an enormous interest in people going for longer or shorter to dengue endemic areas to protect themselves by vaccination. There are some reasons. I'm not a great fan of this because it's not supported by data, but due to experiences with the first dengue vaccine where indeed there was a problem with auto-enhancement phenomena. The policy is very, very passive, and we recommend vaccination for those who have already lived through one dengue episode, and then we vaccinate them twice, if possible with a 3-month distance between the vaccinations. And the uptake is very, 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 very high. So this is what we do and what we can do with travelers, basically.
Yes, thank you, Prof. Martin. I hope this answer is okay with you, or answer your questions. Okay, this response. Thank you so much. It is very interesting. Europe, as the previously, it is we do not know whether you already have the arbovirus infections before or decades ago, but now we have increasing numbers of the arboviral infections, mostly because of the traveler, right? And then, do you have the kind of system, especially in the border area or in the airport? So you have the system like tourists come back from the Asia, for example, and they still do not have the signs and symptoms of any infections, but after they're back to Europe and then they have a symptom, do you have the system that encourage them to report that, or that's so you have the very nice data on this traveler diseases? Yeah,
Well,
the system, yeah.
There is no, so firstly, screening for something which is still in an incubation phase is difficult. We also do not have these outside of a COVID pandemic, these automatic screenings where people would be checked for fever or so. I think, well, the risks of travels are or could be well known to everybody traveling, and for those people who don't take any precautions, most people who would be coming from a really tropical area would either go directly or be referred to a specialist center. But increasingly, with more cases of arboviral diseases, at least in southern Europe, being acquired autochthonously without people traveling to the south, there might be a chance that people might not recognize it early. I mean, in most cases, arboviral diseases are self-limiting, and if not recognized, will probably lead to improvement even without any help from any health system. But yeah, I do believe that in the end, most cases of such an exotic infection, exotic to Europe, are usually recognized. More problematic than dengue and chikungunya, which mostly come with classical features, people developing a rash after a couple of days, having very characteristic health problems, are some other arboviral diseases, which is Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, which develops and has a stronghold in the border region between Spain and Portugal, and that might easily go unrecognized because people are not familiar with this. And the other one of interest, which we do see now increasingly in parts of Europe, which even claim lives amongst the elderly, is West Nile, actually. So we have autochthonous areas even in Germany and in southern Netherlands with West Nile, whereas dengue and chikungunya remain seasonal problems in southern Europe.
Thank you, Prof. Martin. So do we have another questions? Oh, yeah. Would you please introduce yourself first? Yeah.
Thank you and good morning, Prof. Eki. Allow me, Gusti, from the ASEAN Institute for Disaster Health Management. Actually, this is very interesting and it's very insightful for us, the listen, regarding the disease coming from the abroad. Particularly, allow me to use the disaster health management perspective, which we usually use the term of mitigation, preparedness, and also rehabilitation approach. So allow me to refer back to Dr. Doni highlighted part, which Dr. Doni previously mentioned that disaster often lead to population displacement, which may increase the risk of disaster, the disease transmission. So the risk of this displacement can be also increase the disease in the some of the part and also the in the countries of the victim of disaster. So my inquiry is whether is there any recommendation or approach to manage this displacement and also to transmission of the disease. And one more thing question, actually I really insightful and also appreciate to Prof. Martin, which previously share the lesson learned from the abroad, particularly from the Africa and also the Europe. So in the context of disaster again, is there any strategic for preparedness can be integrated into the effort control in particularly in arboviral diseases, particularly in ASEAN context. As you may know, some of the countries in ASEAN, let's say in Cambodia or in some Thailand, particularly, they have some low middle income and also low of the awareness how they can manage the disease and how they can increase the awareness of disaster and also the disease in the context of disease particularly. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Pak Gusti, for these very important questions. I believe that the first questions referred to Pak Doni, right? Pak Doni?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes.
I think
the first question, I think it is about the recommendation, right? The recommendation, do we have the recommendation to what? To have the kind of, for example, like we have the disaster, and then what is the recommendation to prevent more severe condition because of this disaster? Maybe like that. Yes, in a simple way.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we cannot prevent the disaster happens. Well, we can to some extent, but when it happens, then we have to mitigate. So part of it will be, one is for the vector control should be part of the disaster response, an integrated vector controls, and also a good water and sanitation program, because that's part of also the breeding side of mosquitoes, but also a good and a ready care services in disaster testing, because that's also part of the challenges to provide a good quality services in the disaster testing. So these three things should be part of the disaster mitigation package, alongside with different disease control program at the during the disaster time. So I mean, usually on top of the disaster or huge displacement, on top of that will be measles. But I think with the climate change, also dengue, especially in the dengue prone area, that should be also a consideration. That's my short answer. Thank you, Bu Ege.
I think this is a very good response. And Prof. Martin, do you want to give response to the questions about the mitigation? How can they increase the awareness of in your setting country, for example?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not really sure whether that only you can judge upon, whether the awareness of dengue, chikungunya, etc., can or needs to be increased here in a highly endemic setting. I would think that probably many people have heard about that. There are public health campaigns, etc., I would say. I would think. So I cannot judge about increasing awareness in, for example, endemic areas here in Asia. In South America, awareness, I think, is very high. In Africa, people have hardly ever heard about dengue, but it's also not their most pressing problem. Huh? Awareness is the one thing. The other one is strategies, and I do believe that the strategy of vector control works very well if conducted well against Aedes mosquitoes. It doesn't work for many reasons. Entirely different situation in malaria, for example, where you have 50 different anopheline species which also behave differently from what we see with and the same control measures which seem to work quite well against Aedes are wasted on Anopheles mosquitoes. But I do believe even if vector strategies work, they need to be integrated. It's the same with malaria. We do have a malaria vaccine now, but if you throw it into an emergency situation, it doesn't work at all. But if you piggyback it onto a functioning early diagnosis and treatment, prevention in risk groups and vector control program, then it makes all the difference. And I would think that integrated programs, good public awareness campaigns, vector control measures, early diagnosis, and where needed, symptomatic treatment in the absence of a causative treatment. And possibly, that would be my question to you, considering also the rolling out of vaccinations on a broad base, could maybe make a difference. Huh? Probably vector control alone is not enough. Huh?
Yeah, Pak Gusti. I think that the point of response from Prof. Martin is about the integrated infection control, right? If we would talk about the arbovirus, which has the factor to spread the infection, so we have to not only to do the factor control, but also integrate it with other programs such as the vaccine. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Pak Gusti. Do we have the questions from online participants? Oh, sorry. No, yeah. Thank you.
Test. Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Tawake. I am a student, foreign student here from Fiji. I'm part of the master's program for implementation research. And I'm with my classmates sitting here behind me and beside me. First of all, thank you so much. I really enjoyed learning perspectives from our other regions about the case of dengue, and yes, it affects also the Pacific Island countries. Fiji is just a tiny dot in the bigger Pacific Island family, and we're so fortunate that Indonesia has joined also the Western Pacific region very recently. Now that we're leaning towards strategies and acknowledging that, yes, there's a need for integrated vector control strategies, I want to maybe ask if you could share some insights, Dr. Martin, if, from your region, from the area. As I understand, in the Pacific, there are some, if I could say, social and behavioral factors that we naturally just lean towards, and sometimes we don't understand that these are drivers for the transmission of dengue. For example, I see that it is common here in Indonesia for us to fill buckets of water. And this is a normal cultural practice that is just in everyday society, where they fill it in their different homes. And I notice also in Fiji, we share similar practice. We do this because we are impacted by climate change, where we have a limited, sometimes scarce water supply, especially during our cyclone season, which is just ended in April, from November to April. And then there are other structural constraints that my colleague and I, we did some deep analysis into it in our last assignment. And we've come to understand that these things are far beyond our control, if we look at it from that perspective. But then again, the question is it really a knowledge situation when you look at it from people who, I think, already know about mosquitoes, who already know about how these things breed? Are we really, in terms of strategies, are we really looking at it just from that perspective, or should we also start considering how do we also integrate to people's social well-being and also the behavioral factors? So I'll leave that just one as insights from your country perspective and region perspective, and also two, if we could maybe talk a little bit about that. What are your thoughts? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think it is the aspect that we miss a bit in this talking today. Yeah, I believe this is a very general questions. Pak Doni, do you have any thought about this?
Sorry, my connection is not that good. Can you rephrase or repeat again the question?
Yes, basically about the aspect of how we see the role of the social behavior also have the very important impact to this successfully of, for example, decreasing the cases of dengue, or we can mitigate the disaster, for example, outbreak, for example.
Can I just add it in maybe simple terms?
Yes.
So a lot of people know about mosquitoes and that they carry diseases.
Yeah.
But their daily circumstances Sorry, I actually wrote it down just to make it simple. The daily circumstances make it almost impossible to follow every precaution. So how do we move towards solutions that work with their daily lives rather than adding to their burdens?
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, that's a good question with difficult answers. I think factor control strategy, particularly eliminating breeding site, it's effective, conditional that you do it consistently and you do it massively, and that is something that people almost cannot do with that condition. But also, it it can be prevented if, for example, the government has a better urban planning in terms of waste management, water sanitation planning, and everything. It can be reduce the risk, so that not only that we rely on individual to have a good prevention behavior, but also some kind of social engineering and technical engineering, so that it can reduce the exposure. That's one thing. Another thing will be with the new innovation. For example, the Wolbachia technology, which reduced the capacity of the mosquitoes to transmit the viruses, so that even with the existing mosquito, the risk of transmission can be reduced. And additionally, on top of that, perhaps with the availability of dengue vaccine, it can also be additional control strategy to prevent the transmission. So that's, I think, my response. Thank you very much.
More thoughts about this, or Mas Karjito?
Okay, yeah, I think this depend on the situation. Yeah, for example, maybe for malaria, I just take an example. For example, maybe in a not part of the Java in many years ago, almost in 1 century, the situation is very high transmission over there and very difficult to control because of the facilities the lack, and maybe the vector control approach cannot be conducted very well. So one point that very useful and very important is come from the Netherlands, because of Nicholas Hendrik Swellengrebel found the key of the transmission, because of the vector, the main vector of the malaria transmission in the north of Java coast is Anopheles sundaicus. Anopheles sundaicus is a saline, look like saline water breeding habitat mosquito. So they breed in the saline water, and then Nicholas Hendrik Swellengrebel make a change of the salinity of the water, just to go through the water, the fresh water, to the look like lagoon, and to decrease the salinity, and also to open the sand for the water from the sea come to the lagoon. And this activities working very well. And in period in 1925 until 1935, almost of the malaria endemic area in the north part of Java is eliminated. So this is one of the example how we should put one effective vector control approach, disease control that effective in particular area. For example, this is my own experience in my family. For example, in 2024, this is very high outbreak occur in almost of our part of the Indonesia, and I difficult to think, because of we know that many information about the insecticide resistance occur in many where, especially for the fogging, spraying, fogging for ULV, something like that. And then maybe you know that we have also very good implementation for vector control by using PSN, pemberantasan sarang nyamuk in Indonesia, that we call it, this is larva source management for dengue. Actually, this is very good program, but for the implementation is very difficult for sustainability. So that's why it's not work well in a particular area, because of the sustainability is very hard to do. So what should we think about this? So I just think about maybe we should to protect ourselves by ourselves. How we can do this? So I try to just to put from to take from the Alphamart, Indomart. Maybe you know that topical repellent that very easy to get from the store. And then we just spoke. Maybe we get. I also read about the journal in the paper that explain about the effectiveness of the for the look like repellent from the natural repellent. So we can read from the bottle, and then okay, we can use this. For example, lemongrass that mixed with the telon, telon oil in Indonesia. This smells very good for the baby, for the children. They like very well, and then like very much. And then I put it every morning, and surprisingly, it's worked well, because of even though half of the student in my doctor class is infected with dengue, but my doctor is safe. Yeah, I just think this is work well, even though this is maybe not 100% effective, but it can protect for the bathing. Yeah, just for example, we need to learn in every particular situation, and maybe the dynamic transmission should be understand very well in every particular disease, I think. Yeah, this is just my thank you.
Yeah, maybe what you are saying, I think, is of utmost importance. It's really nice if we have this control tool, but we cannot assume automatically that everybody understands why certain tools should be applied in which way, and secondly, there should be awareness of whether this clashes somehow with cultural practices. I never thought about dengue systematically in that context. There are some really dramatic examples. So for example, the spread of Ebola, viral hemorrhagic fever, during an outbreak is perpetuated through certain cultural practices which are deeply ingrained and which need to be respected. But as you know, Ebola virus accumulates in all bodily fluids, so it is still present on the bodies of deceased people. And one very important practice in many parts of Africa is that if somebody dies, that the whole community partakes in the passing, and the body of the dead is usually still touched. This is not dangerous with almost every condition or reason for death, but with Ebola gets spread this way because the virus is still on the skin even of the cleaned body of somebody who deceased. Now, if we want to control an Ebola outbreak effectively, we have to go completely against the local culture. And it only works when cultural practices which are deeply ingrained in the population are completely disrupted. And somehow, one possibility is to do that with brute force and violent implementation of authority guidelines without explaining why all of a sudden people cannot part with their dearest ones as they are used to. There needs to be an explanation why all these foreign people run around in white clothing, which symbolizes death and is something very bad in some parts of Africa. So I think cultural sensitivity and cutting corners where it's possible to accommodate for cultural beliefs is important, and where it's not possible, It needs to be explained so that, do I get it correctly that you were alluding to, so I think one, and I even saw this, I used the same slide in my presentation. There was this nice slide which stands for these dry day campaigns, which are implemented in many parts of Asia, where people are encouraged to empty plant pots, etc., every 7 days so that the larvae cannot complete their cycle. Are you saying, did I get it correctly, that in some of the islands in the Pacific, everybody collects water as well as possible because actually there is a long drought, and so it would be against the cultural approach to empty every vessel or so every 7 days or so. Yeah. So this needs to be explained, and there are probably ways around doing this in a cultural sensitive way. So rather than pouring it away, you can filter the water and then you still have it, and you are getting rid of the larvae. But I think whatever you do, it needs to be explained. And this is going to be particularly important. I don't know whether Indonesia is planning to roll out dengue vaccines big scale like many South American countries do. But with vaccine hesitancy everywhere, actually, particularly when it comes to vaccination, I think it needs to be explained. And you told me, Prof. Eggy, already that you are distributing the genetically modified mosquitoes in a culturally very sensitive way, because I remember from my learning at the London School 35 years ago, where examples were brought that scientists were really very much under the impression how well the release of genetically modified or sterilized mosquitoes in rural India worked in theory, but that nobody had paid attention when these first, and that happened in India actually, where the first genetically modified mosquitoes were released. Everybody had forgotten to explain to the local community what the sense was behind the public authorities moving in with vans and releasing out of a sudden millions of mosquitoes from the van. So yeah, cultural sensitivity is very important.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again about for the question, because yeah, I think that the community engagement is very crucial or important aspect if you want to implement anything, any program. So we could not forget the community. So community engagement is very crucial part. Thank you so much for reminding us. So I think we can move to the questions come from the online participant. So to Mas Garjito from Nurfianto, how are the effect on, sorry, nggak pakai kacamata saya, gawat sekali, deforestation ya, deforestation and expansion of monoculture plantation on climate change and change of the microclimate surround, and also Aedes mosquitoes expansion and epidemiology of dengue fever. You got the point, Pak?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the question. So I think it's similar with the history of the beginning where the Aedes aegypti spread in the world because of the land use change. So I think when situation is land use, for example, from the forest, and then they open the forest, and then it makes a change of the environment, especially for the breeding habitat. So the breeding habitat will be more open, and then maybe some breeding habitat very close with the inhabitant or population. They will very close, and then it will give the opportunity for the Aedes to breed more spreading in this area. So that's why maybe the potential of the increasing of the risk of the transmission will be more increased. Yeah. So I think it's not only for the arboviral transmission, but maybe also for the malaria and for the other diseases. But for the arboviral, I think not only for the dengue, Japanese encephalitis is also have potential increase when we maybe open the area where previously is the forest, and then they open, and then maybe some species of the Q-leg that have important role for the Japanese encephalitis transmission. They will have more breeding habitat over there, so the risk will be also increased when the reservoir also provide in this area. Yeah, so I think this is maybe the way the land use change will give impact for the increasing of the potential risk of the transmission of vector-borne disease, especially arboviral disease. Thank you.
So not only dengue, yeah?
Yeah, not only for dengue.
Yeah, okay. I think the next questions also goes to you, Agarjito. Agarjito. Prof. Martin first, yeah. Can a single mosquito carry both dengue virus and chikungunya virus at the same time? Similarly, can humans have a mixed infection with both dengue virus and chikungunya virus?
Thank you. I think the second question is very easy to answer. The answer is yes. You get bitten by a mosquito carrying dengue virus, you get dengue. There is no reason why you can't get chikungunya at the same time. The question is, how often does that happen or not? I'm not aware of any patient I have ever seen who concomitantly had both diseases. It's also, unless you, so let's say at least I've never seen a PCR confirmed case where patients would have carrying both viruses, but in theory, it's possible. I wouldn't know why that shouldn't be the case. You can also have dengue and malaria at the same time. Epidemiologically, statistically, the question is how often does that happen and is it clinically relevant? The first question, I'm not sure. For malaria, I can easily answer this. Yes, one single mosquito can carry different species, so can transmit also two species. Dengue, chikungunya, that question would be going to an entomologist, an experimental entomologist, and I think Professor Eggy, the right person to answer that question. Or you?
I'm not the entomologist, but
Yeah, actually, in several reports, they also explain about the evidence of the co-infection during the dengue and also chikungunya. And so I think this is very interesting because of there is no burden when in one mosquito they already have dengue. It's still possible to get chikungunya and transfer to the community. So I think this is I think this already have some publication about this. Yeah.
The question would be if the mosquito somehow getting compromised when it's carrying many viruses. As far as we know, they have the same breeding, feeding, flying behavior, so they don't seem to be negatively affected. I don't know whether that would change if they carry too many viruses. With malaria, they are remaining unaffected. Their biological behavior is not changed at all, yeah, depending whether they carry one disease or two or three.
Yeah, actually, we found interesting result when we collect the mosquito in the high incident of dengue for the Aedes aegypti and albopictus, particularly for Aedes aegypti. We found many arboviruses. Virus in the mosquito, and then we check the by sequencing, and then this is a cell fusion virus, the fluffy virus in the mosquito, but this is not pathogen. So this is very interesting. Maybe this is have look like a correlation, maybe to trigger or to make a good correlation with the dengue or not. We don't know exactly about this, but we found several virus in the one mosquito with the other is not pathogen virus. Yeah, comments, yeah.
Yes, thank you. I think the last questions The last question, okay. To Pak Doni from Shiddik Akbar, what surveillance and prevention strategies are the most effective for detecting arboviral outbreaks early, especially in the context of ongoing climate change? Pak Doni?
I think now we are moving into what we call a multi-source surveillance, whereby we try to use different data from different sources to have an earlier signal of circulating viruses transmission, so that traditionally we use what you call symptomatic based surveillance from the cases appear in the health facilities, but that's already too late because the transmission already happened in the community. So several new things is combining data from climate, weather, temperature, precipitation, mobility, and also nowadays with wastewater surveillance, it also can detect signal of transmission or other type that we can use for that. And that I think the trend of surveillance moving forward, try to have an earlier signal in the population before the symptomatic cases appears in the health facilities, so that we can prevent the outbreak earlier. So that's, I think, the main tools that we are developing now, and that's part of our project in Center for Tropical Medicine in the AI for PEP to use that multi-source surveillance, and we are now developing some kind of like a dashboard and we are testing it with the what you call the district health office, whether it can help them to detect and to predict whether there will be outbreak or not earlier. So that's my response. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think all of the questions we already had today. This is the last, Pak Karjito.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So I think I mentioned not all is not related to the rainfall, because of in some part they have relationship with the rainfall pattern, but the other part it's not related with the rainfall pattern. For example, in Palu, Central Sulawesi, it's the cases is not related with the rainfall pattern. In Papua, because of the Papua, the rainfall comes throughout the years. There is no look like dry season or rainy season, which mostly is in the rainy season. So the rainfall pattern is not related with the dengue vector. So that's why I think we need to identify where is the larva or of the Aedes where the adult of the mosquito of the vector is breed in the particular habitat. For example, maybe in the Papua, there are some, some dispenser, water dispenser. This is potential habitat for breeding habitat for the Aedes aegypti. But maybe when we compare in the Java, for example, in Yogyakarta, in maybe Semarang or in other location, the breeding habitat is more in the look like a bedroom, look like a water container, plastic, and something like that. Maybe in the Bali it's different because of very close to the Pura. There are a lot of water container over there, so this is also potential habitat. So it's depend on the particular area and depend on the culture that they have provide a different kind of the breeding habitat. So that's why I think. Sorry for the question. The next, yeah. So that's why the Aedes aegypti can breed, can adapt very well. Yes, I agree, because of they can adapt with the particular situation, and they can adapt very well in many kind of the breeding habitat. But this is really need for every maybe community in every particular location to see their particular potential breeding habitat to know where is the transmission potential occur. So I think we cannot generalize in everywhere for the how to control the breeding habitat for Aedes aegypti because of the type of breeding habitat sometimes is different. Yeah, so that's why maybe the question how to control this need to local specific approach for the maximum or optimum the vector control for the dengue vector. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this is the last questions and we are approaching our end session. Benar ya Mbak Rima? Sudah? Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for all the speakers. It is very wonderful morning. And then from Pak Doni, we learned that climate change is something that it is unavoidable, but we should aware of the impact of this climate change, especially for this changing on the epidemiology of infectious diseases, especially for the arboviral diseases. And also from Pak Garjito, we learned that the characteristic maybe not change a lot, but because of the disperse of all of the factors, especially for the factor for these arboviral diseases is spread more. So we should also aware of that. And also from Prof. Martin, we learned that the several countries which previously do not have arbovirus diseases reporting, but now it is increasing and we should have to pay attention about that. And all of these open our minds and our, what to say, the opportunity to have the more research or collaboration between us to tackle these arboviral diseases to prevent more outbreaks. Thank you so much. I think Mbak Rima have the announcement about the winner. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mbak Rima.
Thank you very much, Prof. Egy. Ladies and gentlemen, please again give your biggest applause to Professor Egy, Professor Martin, Pak Triwibowo, and of course, Pak Doni is joining us from Bangkok, Thailand. Ladies and gentlemen, to show our appreciation before we announce the winner, just like what Prof. Egy mentioned, we would like to show our tokens of appreciations from the Center for Tropical Medicine to our speakers today. So Prof. Egy, Prof. Martin, and Pak Triwibowo, would you like to, I think here is all right? It's okay, right? So the first one, Prof. Egy, as a representative from the Center for Tropical Medicine, would you like to give it to Pak Triwibowo Ambar Garjito from Badan Riset Inovasi Nasional Republik Indonesia. Terima kasih Pak Triwibowo. The next one to Professor Martin Peter Grobusch, Doctor of Philosophy from the Amsterdam. Thank you very much, Prof. Martin. Okay. Oh, a group picture, okay. Pak Doni's token of appreciation will be specially delivered to Bangkok, right? Mas Yoyo will deliver it to you, Pak Doni. Thank you very much once again, Prof. Egy, Prof. Martin, and Pak Triwibowo. You may back to your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, today's event is held in collaboration between Center for Tropical Medicine and the Public Health Postgraduate Program. We thank you very much for you who participated already online and offline. And we have another surprise for participants who already joined us here on site. A special appreciation. Do you have the list of the name, Mbak? Oh, let me announce Mbak Sinta from Universitas Gajah Mada. Would you like to come forward? Mas Gusti from ASEAN Disaster Management. you have a supporter here, please come forward. And last but not least, Tawake from WHO TDRIR student MPH program. Please, Tawake, come forward. We have a little surprise. Okay. And we would like to invite Dr. Hewan Erwan Hartadi, Master of Science, to deliver the souvenirs. So, Dr. Erwan, please come forward. As the representative from the Center of Tropical Medicine. Mbak Sinta, Mas Gusti, and Tawake. Yeah, please come forward. Do not be shy. Come on. They have a souvenir. Yeah, Mbak Sinta first. Thank you, Mbak Sinta, for the question. Terima kasih. Selanjutnya ada Mas Gusti. Terima kasih banyak, Mas Gusti. Terima kasih. Last but not least, we have Tawake. Now let's have a group picture first. Mas Erwan juga foto dulu, Mas. Iya, kita foto bersama dulu. Ya. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much. Terima kasih semuanya. Baik, before we close today's event officially, we would like to remind you that there is a booth over there. It's called Story Lab booth. You can find interesting books over there about dengue and about program evaluation. Come, have a look, and if you find it interesting, you can buy it. Oh, the book is also written by Prof. Eki, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, we have to show it. Come on. This one, dengue, berbagai aspek dan solusinya. This book is written by Prof. Egi, Prof. Adi Utarini, Dr. Iris Andono Ahmad, and Ibu Citra Indriani. You can find it just over here. All right, so again, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and this brings us to the end of today's seminar, Arboviral Diseases in a Changing World, Climate, Mobility, and Emerging Threats. On behalf of the Center for Tropical Medicine, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to our speakers, to our moderator, our invited guests, and of course, to all of you, our participants joining us on site and online. We hope today's discussion inspires us further collaboration, research, and action in responding to arboviral diseases in our changing world. Follow us on our social media to have more information about our event at Center for Tropical Medicine on YouTube, and of course on TikTok, Tropical Education, and on Twitter. Once again, it's about the e-certificate. You can scan the QR code on the screen. Please complete the form, and then after that, you can obtain the e-certificate for today's seminar. While we're waiting, as I mentioned, I would like to reply Bu Citra's pantun. Thank you, Mas Yoyo, for helping me, like a classic poem. Dari Eropa ke Asia. Malu saya. Dari Amsterdam ke kota Yogyakarta. Kita akhiri seminar hari Selasa. Terima kasih kepada ibu bapak semua. My name is Rima, I'm signing out. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. See you.
Ini bukan ember plastik biasa. Mengawali debutnya di Yogyakarta, ember plastik ini melanjutkan perjalanannya ke kota lain. Di dalamnya diletakkan telur nyamuk yang kelak tumbuh, menjadi nyamuk baik penghalang demam berdarah. Mereka adalah nyamuk berwolbachia. Sebagai bakteri alami, Wolbachia terbukti aman bagi lingkungan dan manusia. Untuk membuktikan keberhasilan nyamuk baik dalam menghambat virus dengue penyebab demam berdarah, butuh penelitian bertahun-tahun. Dan kini, mereka akan menyebar dan melakukan tugasnya. Kasus DBD yang tinggi dan kesiapan pemangku kepentingan untuk menerima intervensi membuat Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta menjadi titik awal penelitian teknologi nyamuk Aedes aegypti berwolbachia. Ada 4 fase penelitian yang dilakukan, mulai dari studi keamanan Wolbachia, pelepasan nyamuk secara terbatas, pelepasan nyamuk di skala besar, hingga riset implementasi di 2 kabupaten. Yang terbukti menurunkan 77% kasus dengue di wilayah intervensi penelitian. Ini adalah momen peletakan telur nyamuk berwolbachia di Kabupaten Sleman, Kabupaten Bantul, dan Kota Yogyakarta. Tonggak sejarah yang akan menjadikan lingkungan bebas dari dengue tanpa mengubah ekosistem. Lalu, apa kata warga yang sudah merasakan dampak dari nyamuk berwolbachia? Penelitian nyamuk berwolbachia juga telah dipublikasikan dalam sejumlah jurnal dan buku. Dukungan terhadap perjalanan pembuktian nyamuk baik datang dari pemangku kebijakan hingga warga. Tidak sebatas dukungan, hadir juga keterlibatan dari pihak lain. Penelitian 12 tahun dapat berlangsung berkat kolaborasi yang sinergis dari lintas sektor, seperti komunitas berdaya, lembaga keagamaan, dan lembaga swadaya masyarakat. Kini, Kementerian Kesehatan melakukan perluasan penyebaran nyamuk berwolbachia di Indonesia. Teknologi Wolbachia melengkapi strategi pengendalian yang sudah masuk ke Stranas atau strategi nasional. Kasus dengue yang tak pernah tuntas di tanah air memerlukan intervensi lain untuk melengkapi program pemberantasan sarang nyamuk. Wolbachia merupakan teknologi yang ramah lingkungan dan berkelanjutan. Wolbachia, nyamuk baik.